Welcome to Hodge Podge Australia. It's Halloween time, so let's get started with a gross and disgusting dripping blood cake. The first thing you are going to need is 3 chocolate cakes baked. These are 8-inch cakes and they have been leveled off. The next thing you want to do is cut a circle out of your middle layer. So pick whichever one you want to be your middle layer and then take a good circle out of the center of it. Then this time I'm using a nice cream cheese frosting. I'm going to put a simple layer just around the outside on my bottom layer so that when I take out that center of my middle layer, I don't have all the icing on the bottom because we're going to fill this with jam. So just enough to stick those 2 layers together. Then I have a nice big jar of strawberry jam which I have poured out of the jar. I've got to add a little bit more. Bring it out of the jar and give it a bit of a swirl so that it's going to ooze better, because otherwise if it's still all clumpy, it's not going to ooze out when you cut into that cake. Then add some more of your cream cheese frosting around the outside so that you can stick down your top layer. With this cake, you want a really nice flat top on it, so I find it's best that with your cake, use the bottom as your top because you know it's going to be nice and flat. It was in the cake pan. Then add a nice crumb coat of your cream cheese icing. If you would like the recipe for my cream cheese icing, it is in the description box below. Pop that into the fridge to set and then add yourself another layer of this cream cheese frosting. You do want a really nice layer of frosting on this cake to complement the jam and the ganache. You also want to make sure that your cake is very, very chilled when you do put that ganache on. So leave that cake in the fridge until you're ready to pour that ganache onto the cake. The ganache, I have simply mixed 2 parts white chocolate to 1 part cream. So I've done 200 grams of white chocolate to 100 grams or mils of cream, and then I have microwaved it at 30-second increments and simply stirred it. It's so simple to make ganache. And to finish this off and make it truly bloody, we are going to colour it with some super red Amerigel colour. With ganache, use gel colours to colour it. I find that they're the best. There it is, it has focused on me finally. Super red Amerigel colouring. I've just put 3 drops in there and give it a nice big stir and you'll see that turn into a beautiful blood red in a moment. Once you're happy with the consistency of your red, you could always add in more there if you want to make it a little bit darker. Put it off to the side for it to cool down as well, because obviously you don't want to put too hot of a ganache onto your cake because that will then melt your cream cheese frosting. So you want a really good chilled cake and you want some nice cool ganache to pour over the top, but you don't want it too cool because then it's going to get thick and it's not going to drip down the side of the cake. So you need to watch it, but really it's not that complicated. Honestly, if I can do it, you can do it, so don't stress too much about it. Just make sure it's not too hot and the cake is nice and cold. Then, first things first, put some of that ganache into a Ziploc bag. You're going to want to have a little bit spare on the side so that you can add in any extra drips. If it doesn't drip down just perfectly the way you want it, and it's not going to do that, so don't expect it to do that, put some into a Ziploc bag. Then pour the rest of the ganache onto the top of the cake. I like to start with a little bit and then add a little bit more and a little bit more, just so I'm not drowning the cake in ganache. But simply add some onto the top and then using an offset spatula or a butter knife or whatever you have on hand, it really doesn't matter, push that ganache over to the side so it starts to drip down from the top, and that is how you get your lovely dripping effect on these cakes. It's really simple. You just take your time, push it over the edge. So just add a bit more ganache each time, pushing it over the side, and that's it. That easy. You can then use your Ziploc bag to add in any extra drip. So if you find you've got big spaces where it hasn't dripped down and you really want that extra effect, just use your Ziploc bag, cut off a little bit on the side and add another drip down the side of the cake. Last thing to do with our dripping blood Halloween cake is add in our chocolate skull. If you'd like to see how I made that, click the link that just popped up and it will show you how I've used brown sugar to create a skull mold. That is our dripping blood Halloween cake. I hope you love this tutorial. I think it's come out fantastic. And don't forget, when you cut into this cake, you're going to have that jam come oozing out as well. So not only do you have blood dripping off the top, you're going to have blood dripping out of the center as well. Please give us a nice big thumbs up if you enjoyed this cake. We would love to see you subscribe to the channel so you can keep up to date with our Hodge Podge creations, and we will see you again real soon.